Hello, my friends. Today we're learning Bobby Bastro Daf Dalet. We're going to start Daf Gimel on the base, in the middle of the wide lines, a bit towards the top of the wide lines. The first word is Hurdus. So the Gemara is going to tell us a story about Hurdus rebuilding the second base of Mikdash, because we spoke before about the sugya that you can't break a shul before you build a new shul. So we asked from Hurdus, they broke the base of Mikdash and then rebuilt it. So now we're going to tell the story. Said the Gemara, Hurdus after the Beis Hashmonoi Haba. He was a slave in Beis Hashmonoi who were the kings. Nosav Eino Boisef Noikis. There was one young girl from Beis Hashmonoi that he really liked. Yom Echad, one day, Shoma U Gavra, Hurdus heard the Baskola saying, Doma, call after the Morid, any slave that will be murdered in his masters, Hashto now, Matzliach will be Matzliach. Come, he got he killed all his masters, the whole Beis Hashmonoi, the Shaira, and he left La Yanukta, only to this little girl that he liked. When this girl saw that Hurdus wants to marry her, she went to a roof, Roma Kola, and she said in a big voice, Omra, she said, anyone who says that he comes from Beis Hashmonoi, Avdu, he's a slave, because all Beis Hashmonoi are killed except of me. I'm the only one who's left. And this girl, she's talking about herself, she fell from the roof to the floor. Boom. And she died. Tom she put her 7 years in honey, and honey keeps something that shouldn't go rotten. Some people say Boleo, that he used to have a relation with her even after she died. The ones who say that he never did relations with her, that he did do relations with her, that's why he put her in honey to satisfy his yetzer to be with her. The Armilo and the people who say Lo Boleo, they never had relations with her. Why did he put her in the honey? The people thought that he's still married to this girl, and they'll say that he married the daughter of the king. Omar, so Hurdus said, Man dorish mikar v'achika tosim amelech olech amelech, that you only allowed, it says that's a pasuk, the Rabbanon Darshan, that you're not allowed to have an Eved as a king. Rabbanon, the Talmidei Chachamim, kaum katlinu l'kulu Rabbanon, he killed all the Talmidei Chachamim. Tosis says not exactly all of them, but most of them. Shavke leBaba ben Buta, he left Baba ben Buta lemishkal me'etzah minei, they should have who to take an etzah from him. Says the Gemara Daf Daled Amud Aleph. Hada lekelila de'aili. He made for himself a crown made out of like some type of lizard or something that's very pointy, the skin of it. And he got blind from it. It made him blind. Yom Echad, one day, Yosef Kamei, Hurdus came in front of Baba ben Buta, and Baba ben Buta didn't know that it was him. Omar, Chazim Marai Abda Bisha Maika Obid, so Hurdus told Baba ben Buta, did you see what that bad slave Hurdus has done? Omar le Maya Avidle. So Baba ben Buta told Hurdus, not knowing that he's Hurdus, what should I do to him? Omar le Nalti Mara, give him a curse. Omalei, so Baba Buta told the king, Siv Gambi Madocho Melech Al Tekallel, the prophet that said they shouldn't curse a king. Omalei, I love Melechu, he's not king, he's an Eved. Omalei, so Baba Buta told the king, okay, he's not king, at least he's a rich man, and the Ksiv and the Tzend the Pasuk, Uvechadri Mishkovcho, even in your bedroom, Al Tekallel Osher, you shouldn't curse out a rich man. So here in the Gersa, there is a Gersa that says, Omaleo Avdu, he's a slave. So Baba Buta said, Velo Yelo Nosi, at least he's a Nosi, he's someone who has the power. So Omalei, so Hurdus told Baba Buta, that's someone who behaves like a Jewish person, who behaves the right ways. So you could curse him. Omalei, so Baba Buta told the king, without knowing that it's a king, I'm scared from him. No one's going to go and tell the king that me and you are sitting and you curse, and no one's going to know about it, only two of us. So Baba Buta told the king, the passage that says that when someone says something, if people find out about it, so So the king came here and admitted that he's the king. Omar lo, I know who, I'm the king, I'm Hurdus. If I would just know that Rabbanon so careful not to curse out the king, I wouldn't kill them. How could I do tshuva and what I've done? Thou Gavra of Hurdus Omales, Boba told Hurdus, who cover Eresh, you turned the light of the world off, the mitzvah of Torah, and he killed all the Talmidei Chachomim, and we could see in the pasuk that Torah is called considered light. Yelech v'yasik b'Eresh, go and fix the light of the world, and that's talking about the Beis Hamikdash. Some people say that was a bit different. This is what Baba Mezuzah told Hurdus. He made blind the light of the world. And that's so much that if the Talmidei Chachamim will know something, and we could see that they considered like eyes, he should go and deal with the eye of the world. And why that? I'm going to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. We can see that the Beis Hamikdash is compared to eyes. So Hurdus told I'm scared to mess with the Romans. There was a kingdom of Hashmonai in Israel, but the Romans had a control, like today the Americans have a control over what's happening in Israel. So I'm scared if I'll build the Beis Hamikdash, I'll get upset if I'll rebuild it. So Baba Mezuzah told Hurdus, Shodar Shlicha, send a messenger to go after the Romans. Tell him to take his time, and it should take him a whole year to get to Rome. And he should get stuck in Rome for a year. And he should come back, and it should take him a year. And by that 3 years past, you should finish refurbishing the Beis Hamikdash. Meanwhile, until the Shtech goes and comes back, break the Beis Hamikdash and rebuild it. That's what he did. And they sent him from Rome a message. If you didn't break it, don't break it. If you already demolished it, don't rebuild it. So if you already demolished it and rebuilt it, Avda Bisha, you're a bad slave, boss at the Avdin Mismalchin. They first do something and then they ask, can I do it or not? That's not the way how you do things. You first ask permission and then you do it. You have done it already, that's bad news. If you have your sword on you and you're all excited, Safrach Khan, your safer with your yichus is over here, and we're going to announce everyone and let everyone know that you don't have no yichus. Lo Yirako, you're not a king, Lo Baraka, and you're not a son of a king. Hurdus Avda Klaniel is Abed. Hurdus is a slave who made himself free by himself. Tzedek my Raka, what does Raka mean? It means Malchus, it means a king. It's in the pasuk, Anoich Hayom Rach u'Moshuach Melech. We can see Rach and king is mentioned together. The Hebrew say, man, I bring you another raya or another place where you can see that Rach is a lotion of king. By Yosef Meocha, it says that he grew from of Aryeh, and he was Yosef, became a king of the tribe. Amri, they said, Mishalo binyan Hurdus. So anyone who hasn't seen the binyan that Hurdus built in the second Beis Hamikdash, he rebuilt the second Beis Hamikdash very beautifully. Lo yiro binyan no miyomov. He's never seen a beautiful building in his whole life. In my banya, what did he build it from? Omar Rabba, says Rabba, the Avnei Shisha, marble stones that they green, Rashi says, umarmara on white marble. Ikadarma, some people say, the Avnei Kuchla, white marble, Shisha, green marble, umarmara on white marble. Afik Safa of Ayel Safa, he made it like waves in the building. Then that you could fill in the thid between where the waves is. So the brick here and the brick here, and there's a space in between. But he wanted to cover the whole wall with gold. The Rabbanon told him, just leave it as it is, that's better, the it looks like an ocean, the yama of the ocean. Looks like the waves of the ocean. Said the Gemara, okay, it tells us the end of the story. Said the Gemara, how is it that he gave a good answer to Hurdus? This is in the name of Rav, why did Daniel get punished? Because he gave an answer to Nebuchadnezzar. How do we know this? It's in the Pasuk. Daniel came to Nebuchadnezzar and he had a dream, a nevuah of what's going to happen to Nebuchadnezzar, very bad things. And Nebuchadnezzar asked Daniel, how can I get saved from it? So Nebuchadnezzar told him, listen to my eitzah will be good in front of you. Redeem them with giving tzedakah. By giving anim food and taking care of them, you'll be saved. They shall be keep away the bad stuff that's going to come to you. And it says another pasuk, all the bad dream that Daniel had about Nebuchadnezzar happened, and Nebuchadnezzar Malka, and the king Nebuchadnezzar, and it says another pasuk that only happened, only after 12 months. That means 12 months he didn't get the bad nevuah because he did tzedakah and he helped Daniel. So the question is, why Daniel got punished? Soon we're going to see why he got punished for giving eitzah to Nebuchadnezzar, and Baba Buddha didn't get punished to give eitzah to Hordus. Ibo is saying in one terror it says shiny avda the chayv mitzvahs. Hordus was a slave, and a slave's chayv mitzvah, so you could give him a good eitzah. The Ibo is saying in another terror it's shiny Beis Hamikdash, that the eitzah that Baba Buddha gave Hordus was to build a Beis Hamikdash, and we need the king to help with that, and therefore it was a benefit for Klal Yisrael. Why? Shiny Beis Hamikdash, the Eloi Malchus, if not the Hordus, the king, Loi Mispani, wouldn't get rebuilt. Said the Gemara, Daniel Minol and the Yonish. How do we know that Daniel Bichlal got punished? If you're going to tell me, because it's in the Pasuk, Batikor Esther La Asoch, Rav, who is Asoch? The Daniel, it's Daniel. Honichalemando Omar, that means Hosoch, Shechatchu Migdaluso, that he was a big person in the kingdom, and they put him down. So we can see they got punished. The Hasoch means that all the things of the kingdom was said by him. So where do we see they got punished? What the punish that Daniel got? So we all know the story of Daniel, Mishael, and Azariah, that they got thrown to the Goy Aryeh, to the lions. That was the punishment of Daniel for giving a good eitzah for Nebuchadnezzar. Said the Gemara, Akol Kimeniga Medina, we learned in the Mishnah that you build the wall in the middle, and whatever the way you build it is whatever the Meniga Medina is. So said the Gemara, Akol Asuyimai, why are they coming to include, that doesn't say in the Mishnah, Asuya Asra Deniga Beutza B'Dafna, in a place where they build a wall from something very thin, like type of schach, and that's the way they will build the wall between the two chatzeres. So that's what you should build the wall, even though that's very weak. Therefore, if the wall fell down, Amokim, the space, Ravonim, and the stones, Shneim, belong to both of them because they both built it. So the Gemara Pshita. Obviously, they both built it, they both gave their own space, so it belongs both to them. So the Gemara Loitzricha, the Nofal, Rishusa, the Chadminayim. The Gemara says two truths. One case is that the wall fell all into Ron Rishus, and he says it all belongs to him, so the Chori could be Muchzik. On the Mishnah, no, we take on that they both build it. In the other terms, depending on how he fell, and one of them put it all into his possession. The day Maudu came, you might have thought, he needs to bring a raya that belongs to him, the space and the stones. They don't need to bring a raya because we take on that they both build it together. It says in the Gemara, in the Mishnah, the same din applies by a garden, where the minig is to make a fence, so you could force him to build a fence. Said the Gemara, Hagu for Kasha, this is here stir in the Mishnah. So we said that in the Gina, the din is in a place where the minig is to build a fence, you force him to build a fence. Hostama, it's mashma, a garden without a minig, what's a din? So the minig is not to build a fence. Let's look in the Sefer of the Mishnah, but in a valley, in a place where the minig is not to build a fence, so you can't force him to build a fence. Hostama, it's mashma, a valley without a minig, what's the din? So you can force him to build a fence. Now, where the more mistaba to build a fence, in a gino, it's much more privacy than in a biko. It's much more small and privacy. So the more ashlo stam gino markloi, stam gino without a minig, you don't need to build a fence. Stam biko min boya, you want to tell me in a stam biko you do need to build a fence? Makes no sense. Oma Abaye explained the Mishnah a bit different. Ochikoma v'chein stam gino. Also in a stam gina, and in a place where the minig is to build, to make a fence, and stam gina, the mokim is the minig is to do. And also, Mokim Shinagu Ligda Bebika, specifically in a place where they are meaning to do a defense in the Bika, then you have to do it in the Bika. Then you force him. Omali Rov, said Rov, in King Mayavol, what doesn't make sense? The Lashon in the Mishnah says, Aval Bebika, Mashma the Bika has a different din. If you how Abai is explaining it, it's a continuation. Elo, Rova says the same thing like Abai, but it's in a bit different in the Mishnah. This is Pshat in the Mishnah. A Stam Gino about the minig we take on that you have to build a fence because it's a Gino, and there's Ainor if he sees the produce growing nice. And he's forced to build a fence. It's like a place, not to have a stambiko bemokim in a place. No, it's like a place that there's no minig, because stambiko, you're not meant to build a fence, only if there's a special minig over there to build a fence. And you can't force him to build, because the biko is a place where you can't force him to build, because the minig is normally not to build. Elo, we learned in the Mishnah, if in the Bika where the minig is not to build and he wants to build a fence, what does he do? He builds a fence in his property, and he builds, and he does a chazis, and we're going to see in a second what chazis means on the property into his next door property. So we have here Reuben who wants to build a fence. Shimon doesn't want to build it with him, so he builds a whole fence in his property, and he does a chazis towards the direction of Shimon. What does the chazis mean? The top of the wall, he turns it a bit towards outside, towards Shimon's property. Why didn't he put the top of the fence towards his direction? Why is Shimon towards Shimon's? So the Gemara, if you're going to do the top of the fence slanting your way, his friend on the other side is going to add to the fence a bit to his way. But Oman is going to say, we build it together, and therefore it both belongs to us. So the Gemara, if that's the chashash, ashtanami guys made a chavre. Now that you build it only to Shimon's direction, Shimon will cut off that slanty part towards his property. But Oman is going to say, Didi, it's mine, Bedidehu, we both build it together. So the Gemara, Gizuza made Ayodia. We're not choishes that Shimon's going to cut off the top of the fence that's towards his direction, because people are going to talk about it and everyone's going to know that Shimon cut it off, and therefore you can't say that it belongs to him as well. Some people say different pshat in chazis. You turn the top of the wall miligav towards his direction, towards Reuben's direction, the one who built the wall. So the more of an avid milibar. Why don't we do it towards Shimon's direction? So the more guys they chavre, we chosh Shimon's going to break it. He said, me and Reuben built the fence. So the more Yochi Ashto, now that you build it towards Reuben's direction, Nami lively chavre. Why we not choishish that he's going to do a chazis towards his direction? But Omar is going to say Didi, we both build it together. So the more on that lifufa made yodia. Lifufa, when someone adds a piece on, people are going to know about it, and everyone's going to know they added on afterwards. Not like what we said before. So the Gemara, how could he tell me this pshat? He makes a slanty towards his direction. It says clearly in the Mishnah they do the chazis mibachutz, and if it's towards Reuben's direction, who's building it, it's not mibachutz, it's mibifnim. So the Gemara on that kasha, it's a kasha we don't have a turret. Rabbi Yochanan, a whole new explanation in Chazis, Daf Dalet base, Nash a Ba'amosa Midibar. He makes like plaster at the top of the wall. On the outside, he does a plaster in the size of an ammo. On the outside, towards Shimon's direction, he puts plaster. So the more of a nabed milegav. Why don't we do it from the inside towards Reuben's direction, the one who built the fence? So the more of it chaber milebar. If Reuben's going to do it towards his direction, Shimon in his direction is also going to do a chazis. He's going to put some plaster on the wall. But Omar is going to say, Didi, we built it together, and that's not true. Only Reuben built it. So the Gemara Yochi Ashtanami, now that we do this plaster towards Shimon's direction to prove that Shimon wasn't involved in building the wall, Makpilei Chavre, he's going to peel it off. Omar Didi, who's going to say this wall belongs to both of us. So the Gemara Kilufa made the idea, if Shimon's going to start peeling out, Reuben's going to know about it and he's going to do a machar, people are going to see him, everyone's going to know that Shimon is the one who peeled it off, but really this whole wall belongs to Reuben. Said the Gemara, we said that Akod Kimenega Medina is coming to tell you that even a very thin wall made out of kani, made out of like straw, you could, that if that's a minig, that's what you do. How are you going to do a chazitz on that? How do you do a chazitz on that type of wall? Omar Rav Nachman Sinufi Yurechi Milebar. See here, this Gemara, I'm not 100% pshat, posh pshat, but I'm going to try explaining, and I hope that's the real pshat. Rav Nachman says that you do a direction, you put these hutzah, these konim towards the direction of Shimon. Reuben's building the konim wall, so he puts it towards Shimon. Why don't you do it towards Reuben? So the Gemara, Shimon might also do it from his side, and he's going to say, me and him built the wall. So the Gemara, Nami guys v'shodile. If you do it, push the top of the wall toward the direction of Shimon, Shimon's going to cut that part off. The Oman is going to say, Didi, it's mine, but we built it together. So the Gemara, Mashrit Leitina, on top of the direction that you put it toward Shimon, you put on it also like type of cement. So the Gemara, he's going to peel that off. So the Gemara, no, people are going to know if you peeled it off, and everyone's going to know Shimon peeled it off, and it really was there, and this thin wall belonged to Reuben. Abaye Omar, if it's such a type of wall, there's no takona in a siman. The only way is Elo B'shtora, only a document that Reuben and Shimon sign, and it says clearly that this wall was built only by Reuben, he paid for it, and the space of the wall also belongs to Reuben, and that's the only way by Hutzah to keep a siman. But also it says in the Mishnah, if both of them agree to build, so they build the chazos in both directions. Why do we say that they both do a chazos? Let them both not do a chazos, and we'll know that they both build it together. The Mishnah is talking about the kodim chad minayu ve'ovad. One of them did a chazos without asking his friend. Let's say Reuben did the chazos, so if Shimon won't do a chazos, Reuben one day is going to claim that all belongs to him, and therefore Shimon has to go and do it, and that's why you need to do it on both sides, because one of them already started and did his one. Tell me more, what this is the whole chiddush in the Mishnah to tell you that Ramai who started to do it only to his direction, so in such a case the Mishnah telling you should do also to your direction to show that you are also involved. Well, the Mishnah talking about Ganovim. So he told him, in the ratio where it says where he built it by himself, isn't that the takana to the Ramai to tell you how to protect yourself from the Ramai who's going to say that he built it? So he told him, Bishlei Marisha is no kasha tonadina. First it tells you the din that if you want to build it yourself and your friend doesn't want to build it, you build it yourself. Mishum Dina, once he tells you you built it yourself, Tona Takante tells you on how do you avoid that your friend who is not going to claim later on that belongs to him. He tells you what takana you should do for here. Elo Seifa, but in the case where they both agree, Dina Ktoni Takante, does it say any chiddush? No chiddush that they both could build it together. We don't need a Mishnah to tell you that. The whole chiddush is that you build the chazos on both sides. But that whole chiddush is a chiddush for Ramai. What, the Mishnah is coming you to tell you a special dinner by Ramai? Ravina Ocha Behutzi Askinan. Here, the safe of the Mishnah is talking about a thin wall made out of like straw or palm tree leaves. And it's coming to exclude Abaye to tell you Doma Huteles Letakanta. Elo B'shtor. Abaye said that with a Hutza there's nothing how you could do a siman only with a document. Come the Mishnah and tells you over here but in Mofi Midash name that you could still do a siman. It's coming to tell you that even by Hutza there is a siman. Kumash Malon, not like Abaye, the Bechazi Saga, that you could do a siman like a chazis even on Hutza, and that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. So the next Mishnah, Amakif is Chaveru Misholov Shruchoisov. So we had Reuven had a field, and Shimon has fields all around Reuven from all directions. And now Shimon went and built a wall between the fields of his to the fields of Reuven on three directions. So now all three Reuven's field that has four sides, three of them have a fence, and the fourth one's empty. V'godar says Rishonim. So a makif means he bought all the fields around him, and now v'godar so Rishonim v'sashnia v'sashlishis, and he put the fence on the first field, on the second one field, and the third one. Ein mechayvim oisu. We can't be mechayev Reuven to pay for this gate because he's not gaining anything, because animals and ganobim could still come from the fourth side. Rabbi Yossi says in Omad v'godar saravis, if Reuven stood up and he put a fence on the fourth side, we make him pay for all the other fences that he didn't have to pay until now, because he's gaining from it. We're going to see exactly in the Gemara what's a machloikis between Rabbi Yossi and Tanekama. Said Gemara, Omar Rabbi Yehuda Omar Shmuel, Aloch Rabbi Yossi, Aloch is like Rabbi Yossi, the Omar who says in Omad v'godar service, if Reuven went and put the fence on the fourth side, he has to pay everything. Doesn't matter who the one who did the fourth fence, Reuven or Shimon, the makif or the nikaf, the one who was surrounded, or the one who's surrounded by. But any one of them who did the fourth fence, now Reuven, who's in the middle, has to pay for all the four fences, because now he's benefiting from them, because no one could steal from his property. Itma, we learned, Rav Huna Omar Akoil, when it says in the Mishnah, Megalgalim Olavis Akoil, it means Akoil Lefi Mashagoda, whatever material Shimon built these fences with, Reuven has to pay. If it was from stone, he needs to pay half of the stone wall. And if it was from metal, half of a metal stone, of a metal wall. Here, even if the wall was made out of rock or metal, Reuven, who is surrounded, he could say, all my benefit is as if it's a thin wall that's made out of konim, out of bamboo sticks, and therefore I'm only paying for the value of half a wall made out of bamboo. Now, and we learned in our Mishnah, Makif is Chaver Mishalosh Ruchoiso, V'godar, so Rishonim v'sashnia v'sashlishis, Ein mechayvim oiso, Ervis mechayvim oiso. It said in the Mishnah that for 1, 2, and 3 you don't need to pay. So it's mashma, if you did the fourth wall, you will need to pay. That's mashma from the Reisha. And then it says, Ein Sefer Rabbi Yossi Moim Omad V'godar Ervis. He went and he did the fourth wall, he needs to pay for everything. So Bishlim Rav Huna, who says that Akoil means that he has to pay the full value of the type of wall he built. It makes sense. That's the difference. That's a machloikis between the Reisha, Tanekama, and Rabbi Yossi in the Sefer. The Gemara is going to explain. Tanekama Sova may call him bezol. That if he did the fourth fence, he needs to pay half of everything, but may call him bezol. But not from stone. Rabbi Yossi saw that he could force him to pay half the value of whatever he did the wall. If it was made out of rocks, The Omar Koil that Rabbi Yossi says it means like a cheap wall. What is the machloikis in the Mishnah between Tanekama and Rabbi Yossi? Because Tanekama is also mashma that if they did the fence on the fourth one, you need to pay. So what's the difference? If Lefi Tanekama, you don't have to pay Moi Kolim Bezoil, because Rabbi Yossi is the one who says Moi Kolim Bezoil, what should he pay? There's nothing to pay. That's the cheapest wall to pay. Says more a bunch of terutzim to understand the machloikis between Tanekama and Rabbi Yossi. Teretz number 1. That means when a person has a field, he doesn't have to protect because there's nothing to steal. But when the produce is ready, that's when there's to steal. Someone can come and steal all the produce. So in that time of the year, you need to pay for someone to stand on the field, and if someone comes to shout at him. So that little amount of payment, that's for sure saved to the person who's in the inside field. And that's the amount he needs to pay. He doesn't have to pay for the fence, but that little amount that he saves a year to pay someone to guard his field, that he needs to pay. That's where he needs to pay. But for a fence, even a cheap fence, he doesn't need to pay. Rabbi Yossi Sova, no. You need to pay a cheap fence, half the value. I'll tell you another explanation between Rabbi Yossi and Tanekama. The difference is when you need to pay when the fourth fence is built, you need to pay for the fence number 1, 2, and 3. That if he built 3 fences and only later on he built the fourth fence, so now he has to pay for the fourth fence, but for the fence number 1 and 2 and 3, he doesn't need to pay. Rabbi Yossi Sova Rishon Shniya V'Shlishis Nami Yoivle. Now that he built the fourth fence and now he has a no from all fences, he has to pay for all the 4 fences half the value. Ibo Yisema, or half the value of Konim Bezoil. Ibo Yisema, another explanation between Rabbi Yossi and Tanakama, what's a machloikis, Maki V'Nika Fi Kibenayu. The difference is who built the fourth fence. The Tanakama Sova Tam Adomad Nikaf, the only reason is because the one in the middle who suddenly got up and he made now the fourth fence, so he shows that he's happy with all the fences, then he has to pay for everything. Aval Omad Makif, if the Shimon who did number 1 and 2 and 3 went and did number 4, so then Reuven only has to pay for half of the fourth one. Rabbi Yossi Sova, no. Loishno Nikaf, doesn't matter if Reuven is the one who built the fourth fence. Loishno Makif, doesn't matter if Shimon is the one who built the fourth fence in Omad. The Godar, if one of them made the fourth fence, Migalkilim Ovis Akoy Reuven, the Nikaf has to pay for all the fences. Lishnachruna, another teretz, another way of understanding the difference of the machloikes, Makif and Nikaf Ikibinayu. There's a difference between the Makif who is Reuven and the Makif who is Shimon and Nikaf is Reuven. Tanakama Soba in Goda Makif is a revis. If the one Shimon who's around Reuven did the fourth fence, Nami Yoivle, so he has to pay. Rabbi Yossi Soba in Omad Nikaf the Goda service. If the Nikaf Reuven went and did the fourth one, Hudi Yoivle, then he needs to pay. Why? The Golidata, the Nichele, because his Megalada is happy with fence number 2 and 3, because otherwise to do a fence on only one side of your field gives you no benefit. So why did you do it? Because you're very happy that there's a fence over there, then you need to pay. Avalin Goda Makif, but if the fourth fence is Shimon who did the other 3 fence, he's the one who did the fence, Lo Yivle, he doesn't have to pay. He can say, I don't want a fence. And he doesn't have to pay anything, and that's a machloikes between Rabbi Yossi and Tanakama. Be'ez Hashem, we should remember this Gemara, we should do Chazar, we should have a very blessed week, and we should for very, very happy times to come to Klal Yisrael. Thank you very much. Good luck.